What's a cool fact you think others should know? The Guinness Book of Records was invented by the Guinness beer folks. They figured a book of verifiable facts would help stop bar arguments. Sharks existed before trees existed. Sharks existed before Saturn had rings. 90% of the population on Earth lives in the northern hemisphere. Just about all of Asia is responsible for that LMAO. Still, I'm not sure if I cold guessed 90%. That is a crazy high proportion. Opossums generally cannot get rabies. Their body temperature is too low for the virus. Also, the stomach acid of a vulture is so highly acidic it kills rabies virus and most bacteria, which is why they can eat dead things. Emma Marano of Italy was the last documented and verified person to die that was born in the 1800s. 29th November 1899, 15th April 2017. Wow, the changes in the world she must have seen, or inspiring. When a person receives a kidney transplant, they don't take out the old kidneys. They just shove them to the side and leave them in there. Wait, what? I need more information. Do the old kidneys still work? Do they shrivel up and die? What becomes of them? I have a kidney transplant and can confirm this. Basically, the old 1/s shrink down to the size of a walnut, originally the size of a fist. Because they are not doing any of the work anymore, the blood continues to flow through them, and that's it. A bit like your appendix. They don't die though, the tissue is still alive. If they become necrotic, dying, then they need to be removed. There was a short period of time when Picasso and Snoop Dogg were both alive together. Eugene Aldrin, the father of the famous moon landing astronaut Buzz Aldrin, not only witnessed the Wright brothers' first flight, but also went to see his son land on the moon in his lifespan. We've been quick. Butterflies and moths can drink blood and tears in order to get nutrients. It's called mud puddling. I think more horror movies should use this. Shaq scored almost 12,000 goals in his career. Exactly one of them was a three-pointer. When the Rubik's Cube was first released, a mathematician said it would take the average person 30 years, working 8 hours a day, to solve a cube, saying it was impossible for someone without a master's in mathematics to solve it in under a month. The sun is not yellow. When viewed outside Earth's atmosphere, it is white. It only looks yellow due to our atmosphere pulling the blue light out, leaving it looking yellow. It's an illusion. There was a phantom poop on an Apollo mission. A poop floating around that none of the astronauts said was this. Spit will instantly harden super glue, but it's a much weaker bond. To expand on that, moisture in general accelerates the curing of cyanoacrylic adhesives like super glue. Excess moisture such as humidity also leads to more outgassing, which is a huge problem in manufacturing. Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than the building of the pyramids. As the result of a collision with another moon eons ago, Neptune's moon Triton has a retrograde orbit, meaning an orbit in the direction opposite to its planet's rotation. Triton is the only large moon in our solar system to have such an orbit. Not impressed. The collision eons ago also altered Triton's orbit of Neptune in another, far more sinister way. Despite obviously emerging victorious from the collision, the impact ever so slightly threw Triton off course. Every year, Triton creeps a fraction of an inch closer to Neptune. This means that one day, billions of years in the future, Triton's orbit will get too close to Neptune and Neptune's superior gravitational pull will tear Triton apart. Due to evolution, humans share genes with all living organisms. For example, 60% of your DNA is the same as a strawberry. The technology for the fax machine was invented in 1843. The feudal era in Japan ended in 1868, abolishing the samurai class. Abraham Lincoln lived until 1865. All of this combined lead to a 22-year period in which Lincoln could have received a fax from a samurai. In the pineal gland in your brain, over time it will start to form tiny calcification, little mineral buildups. There is no known function for these, but scientists named it corpora rarenacea, also known as dream sand. Just a heads up, that coffee we gave you earlier had fluorescent calcium in it, so we can track the neuronal activity in your brain. There's a slight chance the calcium could harden and vitrify your frontal lobe. Anyway, don't stress yourself thinking about it. I'm serious. Visualizing the scenario while under stress actually triggers the reaction. If you stare at your own reflection in dim lighting for a few minutes, your face will begin to distort, and you will essentially begin to hallucinate. Don't do it. It's a trap. The amount of water in, on, and above planet Earth does not increase or decrease. It's always in a constant cycle, even the water humans use. That wombats do cube-shaped turds and have backward-facing pouches so that when Mama Wombat is renovating she's not kicking dirt into her baby's bedroom. That 3 weeks after mating a female Tasmanian devil will birth up to 30-40 very tiny Joe eyes where the fastest 4 to get into the pouch and attach to it eat win the Hunger Games. Muscles do not develop the same in everyone, and their exact origin/insertions can differ between people. In some the biceps have 3 or more heads, as opposed to the normal 2. Some muscles are entirely absent, such as the psoas minor, found in about 40% of humans, and the sternalis, only 7.8%. It takes 7 grams of cocaine to kill you. Mosquitoes kill more humans than any other creature including humans. The Tsar Bomba is capable of releasing around 1.5k times for energy than Fat Man Bomb. You know that feeling, like you're falling you get, when you're falling asleep. That happens because sometimes your muscles relax, and your heart rate slows down too quickly, that your body thinks you're dying. So, it gives you that falling sensation which jolts you awake. Honeybees can be trained to sniff out landmines in war zones. Obviously dogs can do it, but to avoid blowing up poor unsuspecting doggos, they figured out that bees could do the same thing and swarm the area without setting the mine off to alert people to its presence. You can make tasty fresh bread yourself in 4 or 5 hours with flour, salt, yeast and water, no kneading and 0 skill. It literally takes less than 10 minutes of actual effort. Since finding out about this last year I've done it dozens of times. Google no knead bread. Some birth control pills can cause vitamin B deficiency. Vitamin B is used to make serotonin. I've know a few people that got super depressed after starting birth control, and taking B complex made a huge difference. There was no S sound for the letter C in ancient Roman Latin. Thus Gaius Julius Caesar was pronounced Gaius Julius Kaiser. His name is where the Germans and Russians got their name for king, Kaiser and Tsar respectively. If you log into your Netflix account in a web browser, you can reset your viewing history for certain shows and watch the series again without messed up start or end times. If you type the word askew into the Google search box, the entire page will tilt slightly. The devil's hole pupfish. It's a critically endangered fish, measuring about 1.2 inches, 30 millimeters. They live in an isolated body of water in the Devil's Hole in Nevada. The water temperature is consistently 91 degrees, 33*C, which is very warm for most fish. Devil's Hole is a water-filled cavern stretching into a rocky hillside at an elevation of 2,400 feet. 730 meters. Devil's Hole is over 430 feet deep, 130 meters, and connected to a massive underground aquifer below that. But the Devil's Hole pupfish only occupy the upper 80 feet of Devil's Hole. It gets much smaller than that. They primarily eat, live and spawn on a small shelf measuring just 11 x 16 feet, 3.5 x 5 meters, with a total area of 176 sqft, 17.5 meters. They have been living in this shelf as an isolated species for up to 60,000 years. They were discovered in 1930 and since then have faced many trials. Agriculture trying to drain the water, vandalism, and outright attacks. They are now surrounded by protective fences and surveillance. Since 1972, 200 fish. The population spiked at 550 in 1995, but then saw a slow decline. At its lowest count in 2013 it was down to only 35 individuals. Thankfully it's back up as of 2019 to 136 individuals. There have been multiple attempts at conservation, even going so far as to build an exact replica of the Devil's Hole 22 feet deep, 6.7 meters, and have raised many fish there. They have a very fascinating history and remain largely a mystery. For such a tiny fish, millions have been spent on conservation efforts and protections, legal battles and defense. I think it's all completely worth it. They are the single most endangered fish on the planet and are completely unique to the Devil's Hole. Andrew Jackson had an interesting assassination attempt. The person who was going to kill him pointed his gun, and it jammed. Jackson then beat him up with his cane. The guy got back and pulled out the second gun, which also managed to jam. This is a 1 in 125,000 chance. If you were born in 80,03 BC and made 10k a day up till now, you still wouldn't be as rich as Elon Musk. Lamborghini started making supercars because Enzo Ferrari was being a jerk to Ferruccio Lamborghini. If you thoroughly shuffle a deck of cards, the exact order they're in has almost certainly never been duplicated in the history of shuffled decks. Since anteaters had to break through termite mounds as strong as concrete to get their food, they've evolved claws bigger than bears. This, combined with the fact that they're legally blind, means these homicidal vacuum cleaners can put effing jaguars in caskets.